the 1976 D Lincoln penny. A coin so ordinary, so familiar, that millions of Americans have held one in their hands. Yet a few rare examples, with a hidden flaw, a secret from the Denver Mint, have stunned collectors and rewritten the story of what pocket change can really be worth. Most people see a 1976 penny and think nothing of it. It's the year of America's bicentennial, the 200th birthday of our nation, when the whole country was celebrating freedom, fireworks, and history. But hidden among those billions of pennies was a tiny mistake, one so rare that only a handful survived. And one of them, sold for nearly $1.6 million. A collector at a small estate sale in Colorado picks up an old coffee tin filled with loose change. Dusty, forgotten coins that hadn't seen daylight since the 1980s. He's flipping through them one by one in 1984, 1973, 1992, nothing special. And then, he spots it. A 1976 D penny with a strange shimmer on its surface, a misaligned strike, and an odd copper tone. He almost sets it aside, thinking it's just worn out. But something inside tells him to take a closer look. That decision would change his life. What he didn't know at that moment was that this particular penny was struck on a bronze planchet that wasn't supposed to exist in 1976. By that year, the U.S. Mint had already shifted fully to copper-plated zinc, but a few leftover bronze blanks somehow slipped through the production line at the Denver Mint. These off-metal errors, genuine mistakes born in the chaos of minting millions of coins, are the holy grail for collectors. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The collector sent the coin for grading, thinking maybe it was worth a few $100s. When the results came back, experts were speechless. It wasn't just an off-metal strike, it had double die features on the date, and a dramatic misaligned rim. A perfect storm of minting chaos that produced a 1 in a billion error. Word spread fast. Dealers from across the country were calling, offering thousands, then hundreds of thousands. And finally, at a private auction, the coin sold for an unbelievable $1.6 million. Collectors were shocked. How could something so small, so ordinary, hold such incredible value? But that's the magic of coin collecting, the thrill that a piece of history, a simple penny, can hold a secret worth more than gold. And here's where things get interesting. The 1976 D penny's most valuable versions share three telltale signs. First, the mint mark, the small d below the date, often appears slightly off-center or struck too deep. Second, the coloration may seem richer, more bronze than the dull reddish hue most 70s pennies have. And third, look closely at the word Liberty. On these rare pieces, the letters sometimes show a faint doubling effect, the result of a misaligned die. But there's another twist. A few of these coins were actually struck using leftover proof dies, the kind meant for collector sets, not for circulation. That means their details are razor sharp, the finish unusually smooth, and the edges slightly raised. Experts say these hybrids are among the rarest modern errors in U.S. history. Now here's the wild part. Most of these coins are still missing. Lost in jars, hiding in old dressers, tucked away in dusty basements. For all we know, one could be sitting in your home right now. Think about it. The year 1976, you or someone you know probably has old coins from that era. Maybe your dad's coin jar, maybe a roll of pennies forgotten in the attic. One of them could hold that same minting error. And if it does, you're sitting on a life-changing fortune. But here's what most people get wrong: they clean their old coins. They polish them up, trying to make them look new. That destroys the value instantly. Collectors want originality, the natural patina, the untouched surface. A single scratch or fingerprint can mean the difference between a few bucks and $1 million. So if you find a 1976 D penny that looks different, maybe darker, maybe oddly shiny, or even slightly thicker, don't clean it. Handle it by the edges, place it in a soft cloth or a coin flip, and get it checked by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. But what happened when another collector did exactly that shocked even the experts? A man in Texas found his 1976 D penny while rolling change for his kid's piggy bank. He noticed it weighed slightly more than it should, about 3.11 grams instead of 2.5. That tiny difference meant his coin was one of the rare bronze strikes. It graded at mint state 67 red, and within weeks, it fetched nearly $1 million at auction. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. The more we learn about the Denver Mint's chaotic production runs in the mid-70s, the more these stories make sense. During that era, the mint was juggling massive demand for bicentennial coins, quarters, half dollars, and dollars, and pennies were almost an afterthought. Mistakes slipped through, unnoticed. Those few flawed coins, however, have now become legends, and here's another little-known fact. Some of the 1976 D pennies have a rare die crack running from Lincoln's shoulder toward the rim, a small raised line that looks like a faint lightning bolt. Collectors call it the thunderstrike variety. If you find that, it's a jackpot sign, but what makes this coin truly special isn't just its metal or its mistakes, it's what it represents. It's proof that hidden treasures still exist. That not all value is locked in vaults or stocks or crypto wallets. Sometimes, it's hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with curiosity and a sharp eye to see what others overlook. So tonight, when you go home, take a moment. Pull out that old jar of pennies. Look at the dates. Check for the D under 1976. Hold it up to the light, tilt it side to side. You might just notice something the mint never intended the world to see, because every now and then, a story like this reminds us fortune favors the observant. And history rewards those who pay attention. The next time you pick up a penny, remember, it's not just spare change. It's a time capsule. It's a mystery. And if you're lucky, it could be worth more than $1 million. So keep your eyes open, your hands steady, and your heart ready for discovery. Because the 1976 D Lincoln penny, the one everyone overlooked, might just be your key to a life-changing find. A coin so ordinary, it could have passed through your hands 1,000 times without a second glance. But this very coin, a 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, has shocked collectors worldwide. Because one of these humble copper-colored cents was recently valued at a jaw-dropping $1.7 million. Yes, you heard that right, a single penny worth more than most homes in America. It started like any other day. A man in Illinois was sorting through an old jar of change his late father had kept for years. Nothing special, just pennies, nickels, dimes, the usual. But one coin caught his eye. It looked different. The color seemed richer, the strike sharper. And when he noticed there was no mint mark under the date, his heart skipped. Could this be one of those coins, the ones collectors whisper about in forums and late-night shows? He had no idea his life was about to change forever. At first, he thought it was just a worn penny, maybe from years of circulation. But curiosity won. He sent it off for grading. Weeks later, he got a call that would send chills down any coin lover's spine. The voice on the line said, "Sir, this coin is authentic. And it's rare, very rare." You see, most 1991 pennies were struck with either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco if they were proof coins. But a small handful mysteriously left the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark. No one knows exactly how many, some say a few dozen, others believe fewer than 10 exist in this pristine condition. But what makes it truly special isn't just the missing letter. It's why it's missing. During 1991, the U.S. Mint was transitioning equipment and experimenting with dies. Somewhere in that chaotic process, a set of dies meant for proof strikes may have been used without the mint mark. A simple human error. But this mistake created one of the most valuable modern pennies ever found. Could there be more out there? And here's where it gets crazy. One of these no-mint mark 1991 pennies sold for nearly $1.7 million at a private auction. The winning bidder? A collector who'd been searching for this coin for nearly 2 decades, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. After the sale, the buyer revealed he had found another one years ago, but he'd kept it secret, waiting for the right time to reveal it. That confession sparked a nationwide frenzy. Coin forums lit up. People raided their piggy banks. Pawnshops suddenly saw a rush of folks walking in with handfuls of pennies from the early 90s. It's amazing how one small detail can change everything. The absence of a mint mark, that tiny missing letter, turned a 1-cent coin into $1 million treasure. Think about that for a second. A single forgotten stamp on a coin press created a fortune waiting to be discovered. Dealers say the key is in the date and the texture. The 1991 no-mint mark penny should have an exceptionally sharp strike, strong details in Lincoln's hair and beard, and a clean, smooth field around the date. It shouldn't look worn or smudged, those coins are common. But if yours looks crisp, bold, and missing the mint mark under the year, you may be holding a once-in-a-lifetime find. But here's something even more interesting. Many fake versions have been popping up. Scammers have tried polishing off the mint mark or using chemical treatments to erase it. But professionals can spot the difference instantly. On genuine 1991 no mint mark pennies, the area under the date looks naturally smooth, not scratched or altered. If you see faint tool marks or discoloration, it's a dead giveaway. One expert from the American Numismatic Association said, "These coins are like lightning strikes, they happen once, they're unexpected, and they leave everyone talking." And that's exactly what this 1991 penny did. Imagine finding one in your own home. Maybe in an old coin jar. Maybe stuck between couch cushions. One man did. He was cleaning out his garage, about to throw away an old box of coins his dad left behind. Something told him to take a closer look. Inside was a 1991 penny that looked untouched by time. No mint mark. Crisp details. That penny later sold for over $1.6 million. Every time a story like that hits the news, more people start checking their change. Because who wouldn't? It's the thrill of the hunt, the dream that something so small could completely rewrite your financial story. And here's the truth, these discoveries are happening more often than you think. The coin market is hotter than ever. Collectors are paying record-breaking prices for rare modern coins, not just the ancient or silver ones. Modern minting errors have become the new gold rush. And this 1991 no mint mark Lincoln penny is leading the pack. Its scarcity, condition, and mystery. Nobody knows exactly how or why these specific pennies were struck without mint marks. Some believe they were experimental test strikes, others think they were early die trials that slipped through the cracks. Whatever the case, the rarity combined with flawless preservation makes them a collector's dream. The man who sold his for $1.7 million didn't stop collecting. He used the money to start a small coin shop and now spends his days helping others hunt for their own treasures. He said, "I never thought I'd become a millionaire because of a penny. But here I am." And that's the kind of story that keeps collectors searching. Because every jar of coins could hide something extraordinary. Every roll of pennies could hold a piece of American history worth more than gold. Here's what you need to look for. Grab your 1991 pennies. Flip them under good light. Look at the date. If there's no mint mark beneath the year, no small d, no s, nothing at all, your pulse should quicken. Then check the condition. Is the strike strong? The details sharp? If so, you might be staring at one of the most valuable coins in circulation, and don't make the rookie mistake of cleaning it. Even a light rub can cut the value in half. Handle it by the edges, place it in a plastic flip, and have it authenticated by a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll confirm its authenticity, and that's the ticket to unlocking its true value. This tiny coin has rewritten what collectors thought possible. From a simple cent to a $1.7 million fortune, it proves that history hides in plain sight and that fortune favors the curious. So before you spend your spare change or let your coin jar collect dust, take a moment. That old penny sitting quietly among the rest might not just be worth 1 cent. It could be worth more than your car, your house, maybe even your future. Yes, a simple 1967 Lincoln penny, no mint mark, no fancy shine, just a regular copper coin that most people would pass off as pocket change, turned out to be one of the most valuable pennies in American history. Imagine this. A man in Ohio empties his car's ashtray while cleaning. He sees a dull, brown penny, almost blackened by years of wear. It's a 1967. No mint mark. He almost throws it out. But something, a tiny instinct, stops him. That single hesitation, that 1 second pause, would change his life forever, because what he held wasn't an ordinary penny. It was one of the rarest errors in U.S. mint history, a coin so mysterious, so hard to believe, that collectors still argue how it even came to exist. But before we get to why this penny is worth over $1 million, let's rewind to 1967. The United States was deep in the space race. The mint was under enormous pressure, cranking out billions of coins for a rapidly growing economy. To speed things up, mint marks were temporarily suspended from all coins between 1965 and 1967. So, no mint mark doesn't necessarily mean it's rare, but here's the twist: something went wrong at the mint that year. Some of the 1967 Lincoln pennies were struck using leftover 1966 dies, and a handful were accidentally created on rare planchets made from a different metal composition than normal. A few were even double struck, slightly off-center, or made with proof-like qualities meant only for collectors. These are the mistakes that turned a 1-cent coin into a $1 million miracle. Dealers were stunned when the first of these pennies surfaced. At first, they thought it was a hoax. But testing confirmed everything: the metal content, the striking error, the flawless preservation. One of these coins later appeared at auction, where a quiet bidding war erupted. The final price? Over $1.8 million, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. People started raiding their change jars. Coin shops were flooded with collectors desperate to find a 1967 with the same hidden characteristics. Some drove across states, searching old banks and antique stores, chasing the dream of finding their own life-changing penny. And here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night: only a handful of these rare 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies are known to exist. Some experts believe there are still a few out there, undiscovered, sitting quietly in drawers, jars, or coin albums. Waiting. It's not just the year. It's the subtle, almost invisible errors that make all the difference. The valuable ones often have sharper details on Lincoln's face: the bow tie, the hair strands, and the rim are unusually crisp. Some have a doubled image on the date or the word Liberty. And if you look closely, a few rare examples have a slightly different copper tone, richer and redder than usual. That's because they were struck on leftover bronze planchets, the kind used before 1962, when the mint changed its metal formula. Collectors were shocked when metallurgists confirmed this. It meant that some of these 1967 pennies weren't just struck wrong, they were struck on the wrong kind of metal entirely. That's the kind of mistake that can send a coin's value through the roof. But there's another reason this penny has become legendary. Unlike most rare coins, this one looks ordinary at first glance. There's no shiny proof surface, no visible mint mark to chase. It's the definition of hidden treasure, a millionaire hiding in plain sight. One collector described it best: it's the kind of coin that could be sitting under your couch cushion right now, and you'd never know. But what happened next made headlines across the coin community. When news of the $1.8 million auction sale broke, ordinary Americans started searching their spare change. Grandparents, truck drivers, teachers, everyone wanted a shot. Pawnshops couldn't keep coin magnifiers in stock. Coin forums exploded with stories of people finding odd 1967 pennies, some with off-center strikes, others with deep mirror-like fields. A few even looked like proofs despite never being sold as such, and here's where the story takes a fascinating turn. The U.S. Mint never officially released proof coins for circulation in 1967, but some insiders believe a few accidentally escaped from the mint's testing batches. These experimental strikes, with sharper details and richer color, are the holy grail for collectors today. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins. Auctions are fierce, and private collectors are offering blank check prices for confirmed specimens. One penny, graded at near perfect condition, was quietly sold in a private sale for a rumored $1.8 million. But here's the question everyone wants to know: how can you tell if you have one of these rare treasures? First, grab a magnifying glass and look at the date. The 9 and 6 in 1967 are often slightly thicker or show doubling under magnification. The word Liberty might appear slightly distorted or shadowed. Check Lincoln's eye. In some rare varieties, there's a faint doubling there too. Next, feel the coin's weight. Most 1967 pennies weigh about 3.11 grams, but the rare ones sometimes come in a touch heavier or lighter due to the unusual metal mix. If your penny feels a bit off, don't ignore it, that could be the clue that changes your life. And finally, check the luster. The $1 million examples have a deep red or reddish-brown color that almost glows. It's not a bright, shiny new penny look, it's deeper, more metallic, and unmistakably unique. If you find one that fits these descriptions, get it authenticated by a trusted grading company like PCGS or NGC. A verified mint error can multiply your coin's value beyond imagination. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle because he noticed what everyone else ignored: a simple date, a missing mint mark, and a difference so small it could only be seen under a magnifier. That's the beauty of coin collecting. It's not just about metal. It's about mystery, history, and the thrill of the hunt. Every coin tells a story, and some, like the 1967 no mint mark Lincoln penny, tell a story worth $1.8 million. The 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin so common, so ordinary-looking, that millions of Americans have held one without realizing its secret. But behind that copper shine lies a story that shook the coin collecting world, a story of mystery, luck, and a mistake that changed history. It all began with a small batch of pennies struck in 1984. The U.S. Mint was transitioning through equipment upgrades, and something unusual happened during production, a rare die error, invisible to most, yet powerful enough to make one of these pennies worth a fortune today. Imagine this, a single tiny flaw so subtle that even the people at the mint didn't notice. But that flaw, it would turn an everyday 1-cent coin into $1 million miracle. Collectors were shocked when the first of these coins appeared. A man from Massachusetts found one while sorting through a coffee can of change he'd saved for years. At first, he didn't see anything special. The penny looked old, worn, and unremarkable. But under a magnifying glass, he noticed something. The image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side wasn't quite right. The ear had a faint, ghost-like double image. That small doubling, caused by a rare die variety now known as the double-ear Lincoln, became the key to unlocking one of the rarest treasures in American coinage. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Word spread quickly, faster than wildfire, through coin clubs, collector forums, and trade shows. Dealers were offering hundreds, then thousands, then tens of thousands of dollars for verified 1984 pennies with this doubling. Auctions were exploding with bids. The once worthless penny was now turning heads, rewriting what collectors thought possible. And then came the moment no one expected. One of these coins crossed the $1 million mark in a private sale, shocking even the most seasoned experts. Because rarity is the heart of value. The 1984 no-mint mark penny isn't just rare, it's a perfect storm of history, mystery, and human error. The Philadelphia Mint, where these no-mint mark coins were struck, never officially confirmed how many were made with this doubling mistake. Some experts estimate only a few hundred survived circulation. Others believe fewer than 50 pristine examples still exist. Either way, the number is tiny, and when supply dries up, value skyrockets. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on one. Collectors whispered about it in hushed tones at coin shows. One man's pocket change had become a golden ticket. And the irony? Most people still spent theirs without knowing what they had. Every time someone dropped a 1984 penny into a vending machine, a little piece of treasure disappeared forever. But there's more to this story, and it gets stranger. You see, not every 1984 penny without a mint mark is valuable. You have to know exactly what to look for. Most pennies that year look completely normal. But the rare ones reveal their secret in the details of Lincoln's portrait. His earlobe shows a faint second outline, a doubling so clear that it looks like two ears stacked together. Under bright light or magnification, it stands out like a hidden fingerprint of history. Collectors who spotted it early were rewarded beyond belief. Many had searched years for a life-changing find, and suddenly, their patience paid off. Some sold theirs for new homes, others used the money to retire, and one story tells of a man who found one in his father's old coin jar and paid off his entire mortgage. A coin that once bought a stick of gum now bought him freedom. But this mystery didn't stop there. As demand grew, counterfeiters began trying to copy the error. The coin world was flooded with fakes, regular 1984 pennies with hand-carved details or machine alterations. And that's when experts stepped in to warn collectors. The true 1984 no-mint mark double-ear penny has unique markers, tiny die polish lines near Lincoln's neck, and a specific spread in the doubling that no fake could perfectly replicate. Those microscopic details separate the $1 million treasure from a worthless imitation. And here's the twist: this coin isn't just rare for its error. It represents the last great era of hand-engraved dies in U.S. coinage, before the mint moved to fully automated systems. It's a symbol of imperfection in a world that strives for perfection. It's a reminder that sometimes, our mistakes become our masterpieces. Collectors describe holding this coin as holding a piece of history, a tangible moment when human hands, machinery, and chance collided. The excitement, the adrenaline, the disbelief, it's what drives every treasure hunter, every hobbyist, every dreamer searching through pocket change at the end of the day. Because this story proves that fortune doesn't always come from Wall Street or Silicon Valley. Sometimes, it comes from the bottom of your coin jar. But what happened next left everyone speechless. A pristine, uncirculated 1984 penny with the doubled ear was graded by a top-tier coin certification company, and the moment it hit the auction block, collectors went wild. Phones lit up, bids climbed higher and higher, and the final hammer price broke all expectations. It was official, a 1-cent coin had just sold for over $1 million. The crowd erupted. History had been made. Even now, whispers continue among collectors. How many more could still be out there? How many might be hiding in dresser drawers, coffee cans, or forgotten piggy banks? The US Mint may never release the full story behind the error, whether it was a single die gone wrong or a quiet cover-up of a small batch release, but that mystery only adds to the coin's allure, and if you think lightning can't strike twice, think again. Every few years, another rare variety surfaces, a penny, a nickel, a quarter, discovered by someone who wasn't even looking. It's proof that incredible finds still happen to everyday people. You don't need to be a millionaire to find $1 million coin. You just need curiosity, a bit of luck, and a good eye for detail. Grab your 1984 pennies and look carefully under a bright light or magnifying glass. Check Lincoln's ear. Does it look doubled? Can you see a faint outline, like a second earlobe just below the first? If you can, you might be holding something extraordinary. But don't rush to sell, have it verified by a professional coin grader. Authenticity means everything. And if it checks out, you could be looking at the same type of coin that once turned an ordinary day into $1 million moment. Collectors were shocked, dealers still talk about it, and historians see it as one of the greatest minting mysteries of modern America. It's a symbol of how even the smallest details can hold the biggest secrets. A coin that should have been just another penny became a legend, and here's the truth, the next one could be in your pocket right now. So before you spend that 1984 penny, take one last look. Because history has a funny way of hiding in plain sight. That simple, copper-colored coin might just be your ticket to the life you've always dreamed of. A 1961 Lincoln penny, something most of us have seen thousands of times, became the talk of the numismatic world when collectors realized one simple detail made it a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Imagine holding a coin that looks so ordinary, you wouldn't give it a second glance. You toss it into a jar, or use it for parking. But years later, that same coin resurfaces, not as a cent, but as a fortune. That's exactly what happened with the 1961 Lincoln penny. Back in 1961, the Denver Mint was running full steam. Billions of pennies were being struck, each carrying that small D mint mark beneath the date. It was routine until something unexpected slipped through the presses. A batch of coins left the mint with a striking anomaly that would go unnoticed for decades. Collectors didn't suspect a thing. After all, who studies their pocket change that closely? But hidden in those billions was a microscopic minting mistake so rare, so precise, that it transformed a simple penny into a millionaire's dream. The story begins when a retired factory worker in Colorado was sorting through old jars of coins he'd kept since the 1960s. He wasn't a collector, just a man curious about what his change was worth. One coin caught his eye. The color was slightly different, a little richer, almost golden in the light. He almost spent it. But something told him to take a closer look. What he discovered sent chills down his spine. The D mint mark beneath the 1961 looked doubled, as if stamped twice. A minting error? Possibly. But when he showed it to a coin dealer, the reaction was immediate. The dealer froze. Then whispered, "Do you have any idea what you're holding?" It was one of the few known 1961 Lincoln pennies with an extremely rare double die and off-metal strike. The copper alloy was slightly off balance, containing traces of silver and zinc that gave it an unusual tone. Experts confirmed that this was no ordinary coin, it was a minting miracle. Word spread fast. Collectors were shocked. Dealers rushed to verify their own 1961 pennies. Could there be more like it out there? For weeks, online forums buzzed with speculation. But this particular penny, the one found in that jar, went on to auction. The final bid? $1.1 million, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Within months, a second collector came forward with a similar coin. This one had even clearer doubling on the mint mark and slightly misaligned lettering in Liberty. The find reignited the hunt and sent treasure seekers racing to every coin jar and basement in America. Here's where things get interesting. Most 1961D pennies are worth just a cent, maybe a few dollars if they're in mint condition. But the difference between a regular penny and the $1,000,000 version is all in the details. Under magnification, you'll notice the double D mint mark, slightly tilted and shadowed. The lettering "In God We Trust" might appear faintly doubled as well, especially on the left side. And if you look closely at the rim, a subtle misalignment of the die can make one side of the coin thicker than the other. These tiny imperfections, invisible to most eyes, are what set the $1,000,000 penny apart, but there's more. Some of these rare 1961D pennies were struck on leftover planchets from earlier coin runs, meaning the metal composition isn't pure copper. Instead, traces of different alloys created a unique color and weight. A regular 1961D penny weighs about 3.11 grams, but the rare variant might weigh slightly less, around 2.9 grams. That difference is small, but to a trained collector, it's everything. Dealers say that when these coins appear, the market trembles. Auction houses clear their schedules. Collectors whisper in forums, comparing weights and photos. And in an instant, a forgotten coin from 1961 can transform an ordinary person into a millionaire. Imagine finding that in your pocket change. One man did, and his life was never the same. He'd been saving coins in a coffee can for over 40 years. One afternoon, his grandson dumped them out on the kitchen table, just for fun. Among the pile of brown and dull pennies, that faintly golden 1961D stood out. They looked it up online, and when they realized what they had, they didn't sleep that night. This story inspired a whole new wave of collectors. Pawn shops began advertising, "We buy rare pennies." Coin forums exploded with new members posting photos, hoping for a match. The energy was electric, the dream that your spare change might hide a $1,000,000 miracle, but most people miss it. They think their old pennies are all the same. They never check the mint mark, never weigh them, never notice the subtle shine that hints at something extraordinary, and that's where opportunity hides, right under our noses. That if you're holding a 1961D Lincoln penny, here's what you need to do. First, grab a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Examine the D under the date. If it looks doubled, shadowed, or slightly crooked, don't dismiss it. Then, weigh your coin precisely. If it's under 3.1 grams, you could be holding a planchet error, one of the rarest types of minting mistakes. Check the color too. The $1,000,000 1961D pennies often have a deep, warm tone that reflects light differently, almost as if it's glowing faintly compared to other pennies. And before you rush to sell it, get it authenticated by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. A certified coin can fetch astronomical prices at auction, especially if it's the real deal. The truth is, the 1961D Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. It's a symbol of hidden value, proof that treasures still exist in the everyday world. One small, overlooked detail turned a single cent into a story worth $1,000,000. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or open that old jar of coins in your closet, remember this: a simple penny once discarded as nothing became a golden ticket to wealth. A simple 1995D Lincoln penny, something you've probably held thousands of times, is now shocking collectors and dealers across the United States. Because one small detail, invisible to the casual eye, has turned this common coin into a treasure worth up to $1.2 million. A Denver Mint employee noticed something strange during a routine inspection in 1995. Pennies were coming off the press with a barely noticeable flaw, something that didn't match the standard die alignment. But instead of being caught and destroyed, a few of those flawed pennies slipped into circulation. And for years, no one knew. They sat in drawers, coin jars, and glove compartments until one man stumbled upon one by accident. He was just sorting through a handful of change from a gas station coffee run. Among the dull brown pennies, one caught his eye. The D mint mark looked slightly misplaced. He thought nothing of it at first, but something about the way Lincoln's portrait shimmered in the light made him curious. He took it home, cleaned his glasses, and under a magnifier, he saw it. The double details, the sharp misalignment, and his heart started pounding. Collectors call it the 1995D double die Lincoln penny, one of the rarest modern errors ever made at the Denver Mint. The doubling isn't as wild as some of the earlier errors like the 1955 version, but this one has a twist. Its doubling shows on the obverse, that's Lincoln's face and the word liberty. And depending on the severity of the strike, the value can climb from a few $100s all the way to over $1 million for pristine, uncirculated examples. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. That same collector decided to send his penny for professional grading. The experts at PCGS confirmed it: genuine double die, mint state condition, perfectly preserved since 1995. When it hit auction, the bids exploded. Coin enthusiasts couldn't believe what they were seeing. A 1-cent coin fetching offers close to $1 million. When the hammer dropped, that tiny penny had sold for just over $1.2 million. The story went viral overnight. One man's pocket change had rewritten coin history. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Not every 1995 D penny is valuable. Millions were minted, but only a handful carry this incredible flaw. The difference is microscopic, but it means everything. The Denver Mint produced billions of coins that year, and a few dies were slightly misaligned, causing doubling on the obverse that escaped detection. Most were melted, lost, or worn beyond recognition. But a select few survived, hiding quietly in circulation for nearly 30 years, and this is why collectors are hunting them like gold. One dealer from Chicago recently shared a story that sent shivers through the community. He bought a random roll of 1990s pennies at a flea market for $5. Inside, he found a single 1995 D with visible doubling. He submitted it for grading, and it came back mint state red, one of the highest designations possible. Within days, offers flooded in from private collectors, topping $900,000. He could hardly believe it. From a $5 gamble to nearly $1 million. But here's the thing most people miss: the error isn't just in the doubling. It's also in the texture. The genuine 1995 D error penny has a distinct sheen, a smoother, almost proof-like luster that comes from the misaligned dies striking the planchet with unusual pressure. Under natural light, it almost glows. Counterfeits can't replicate that. That unique shimmer, combined with the slightly misplaced D and the doubled features on Lincoln's profile, are your clues. Collectors were shocked when grading companies confirmed that fewer than a dozen pristine examples are known to exist in mint state red condition. Think about that: out of the billions of pennies made, only a handful worth more than $1 million. Imagine checking your change, finding one, and realizing you've just discovered a piece of American minting history. That's not just luck, that's destiny wrapped in copper. But there's more. During the mid-90s, the Denver Mint was pushing coin production at record speeds. The machinery was pushed to its limits, dies wore down faster, and small alignment errors began to appear. Normally, those mistakes would be caught and corrected. But 1995 was different. That year, due to production demands, some error coins were never caught. The result? A hidden batch of flawed pennies that would go unnoticed for decades, until collectors began uncovering them one by one. This is why experts now call 1995 a shadow year for error coins, a year when the US Mint's speed became its biggest weakness. But here's the twist that nobody saw coming. A second example surfaced in 2012, found by a retired schoolteacher who collected coins as a hobby. She had saved a coffee can of pennies since the 90s. When she finally decided to sort them, she spotted the same telltale doubling. She sent it to auction quietly, not expecting much. It sold for nearly $850,000. The story made national headlines and reignited the hunt for the mysterious Denver double die. Dealers are now rushing to get their hands on any 1995 D penny that looks remotely unusual. Pawnshops, coin fairs, and online marketplaces have seen a surge of listings. But only experts can truly verify authenticity, and that's where the adventure begins. If you're watching this, take this as your sign. Don't overlook the humble pennies sitting in your drawer. Get yourself a magnifier and start checking for that tiny doubled detail on Lincoln's face or the word Liberty. Look closely at the D mint mark under the date. If it appears slightly tilted or out of position, you might be looking at something extraordinary. And remember, condition is everything. A worn coin might fetch a few hundred, but one in uncirculated mint state red can change your life. The difference between a penny and $1 million payday could be a simple plastic coin sleeve. Most people spend their lives searching for big opportunities: real estate, stocks, or business ventures. But sometimes, opportunity jingles quietly in your pocket. Sometimes, it hides in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to notice. The 1995 D Lincoln penny is more than just a minting error. It's a symbol proof that even the smallest things can hold unimaginable value when seen with the right perspective. And the truth is, this story isn't over. Experts believe more of these $1 million pennies are still out there, lost among the billions in circulation. Maybe sitting in a change jar, or wedged between couch cushions. Maybe even in your home, right now. Collectors say that once you find one, you never look at spare change the same way again. You start to wonder, how many hidden treasures have we overlooked? How many stories of fortune are hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to look a little closer, so the next time you get change at the grocery store, or dig through a handful of coins for the parking meter, take a second look. Tilt that penny under the light. Study the D mint mark. Notice the doubling on Lincoln's features. That one moment of curiosity could be the turning point in your story.